All right, guys, we have a Dell. We got a micro OptiPlex 3080. It's fine. Dell calls it an OptiPlex. It's a laptop in a box, guys. It uses laptop components. How else is it so small? But it's not a laptop. It's not turning on. It's not doing anything. What are we going to do? Well, there's a couple ways we could test this, and I would test this a little bit quicker, but we'll test for the video here. The first thing is the power supply. Is it working? Now, when you do plug it in, I do see a green light on the actual power brick, but what if you have a power brick that doesn't have a light? Sometimes the lights go bad. So yeah, I could plug this into another computer that I know works and see if it boots, but let's say you don't have that. And so we're going to go the multimeter route. Now, right on it, it says 19.5 for its output. We're going to shove the red in, and then we're going to touch the black outside, and 20.38. All right. We know that that works. Get that magnet off of there. Probably fried everything. That's what we like to see. So if you have a computer that's just dead Zors, this works. We'll leave this unplugged for a second, and we'll unplug the HDMI. So, because normally computers, they boot to the BIOS, to the motherboard, right? And you'll get some type of flashing error light on the power light. Dell makes this pretty easy to work on. Undo this battery, and this top piece slides forward instead of backwards. So if you had all this crap plugged into the back, you can still slide, and it takes this front piece with it. You can still pop this whole thing off. So let's take this beast off of here, put it aside. Here's the inside. Remember, I said it's basically a laptop. You can squeeze. Okay, so this even has a tray if you were to put in a 2.5-inch drive. So there's your hard drive, your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. This is if you had SATA, it would be plugged in, or not SATA, 2.5-inch drive. If we grab these two clips, we can swing the whole fan kind of forward and off without having to unplug it, just like that, although it would be easy to unplug. That's where the power comes in. It doesn't look burnt. So, and this is nice and clean. Normally, you know, the heat sink's all burnt and the CPU's under there, but it's not burnt. It's not dirty. Actually, the inside of this is really clean. So what's going on with the motherboard? Well, there's a couple things and ways we can test. One stick of RAM. I like that. Single channel the CPU. That's nice. We could short the power supply when we plug it in, which would bring the motherboard to life, potentially, if it's not busted. But actually, when we're in a situation like this, and we're not even getting an error light, and it's not burnt, and there's nothing to short, there's nothing that looks fried, this looks like a really good computer. What do you think we'll test? We're going to voltage DC, and we're going to use this. What do we think we want to test? We're going to test this battery. What is that, 2032? Yes. So if we press this little pop tab, let's get the little CMOS battery out of here. And this looks like a newer computer. Good NVMe drive. So this should be 3 volts rating. It is. Remember when we had that Dreamcast go bad that used this rechargeable one? Here's a non-rechargeable one. That's what's from Dell. So we can give it a test. We can put our prongs on this, and we'll see what's wrong. So can we have the multimeter in here? So we should be getting a 3 or more. Let's go ahead, and we're going to touch here and here. Look at our rating. Microvolts. Because we're on auto, which means if it's 40 microvolts, it means that it's 0.4. This is really that dead? That's fascinating. It's so little that we can't even get a good number. Can we change the range to volts? There we go. Rather than have it be on automatic. Also, if you have a higher end meter and it's set on auto, it's going to try to give you a good number. So now we're just on normal volts. And wow, 0.37. We should be at 3 before the decimal. Oh, is this a 2032? It's always a CR 2032. It's all shiny. You can't even read anything. Energizer, lithium. Number 1, De Mayo. There's blah blah blah. Okay, great. Number 1. Let's pop this thing open, and then we'll read in volt. But yeah, sometimes I see people with higher end multimeters, and they'll be on the auto mode, which is fine as long as you understand how to read the auto mode. If not, if you have that range button, sometimes you just want things to be standard so you can really compare. So new battery. Let's just make sure we're in frame. New battery, black on there, red on here, and 3.199. So that's what we should be reading. Good battery. Let's just put it over here. Bad battery, we're going to do the same thing. Completely dead. And I guess, people will be like, no, there's some micro voltage. That's true. There is, but that's a good sign a lot of the times if the motherboard has problems. If you're not getting an error light, but it doesn't look burnt. Because the other thing is, why aren't we getting power? And we could trace down the rails. But this looks so good, like a blown fuse. It was plugged into, or so I'm told, a APC battery backup with surge protection. So would make sense for this, and in a clean environment, which again would make sense. Let's leave this off. That way we can look at if we need to down here at the power. Let's plug in the HDMI just in case we see video. Now, on a system like this, like most computers, let's turn this. We don't have to worry about the CPU heating because the big heat sink's on here, but here's the fan. This fan is going to suck in air from the front, from right here, and it's going to blow the air through these fins. It's contained in this chamber, kind of making it a power, like a cooling section. But when we plug this in, the fan should kick on right away. So we just want to make sure that the fan doesn't have anything inside. It should do like a self-test. Power supply, blah, blah, blah. We knew the power supply was good. We have the battery good, and there's the fan right away. And we have a solid white light on the front. Now, this is not booting, so we won't have anything on the screen yet. This is like the hardware self-check. But that's a good sign, so I'm going to put the fan back in place. Hold these 2 clips. Get this thing to pop down. That way it will cool. And we'll let it do that. And then we'll make sure that my monitor is all set. Okay, so now it's powering off. So that was its BIOS self-check, right? And we might as well... This is the power button. Yeah, so it's just right over here. It's probably on power up with AC restore. Yep, right away, Dell. There it is. Look at that, Dell. You love to see it. Now we're going to go away from there because I don't know what's going to come up. But in Dell computers, and a lot of computers have these, I think this is in an area away from people and they just remote into it. But I think it, if I'm remembering correctly, they just play a display on this, basically, that just runs. And so it's plugged into that APC. That way, obviously, if the power goes out, it won't just fry and shut off, and the APC should turn it on. All right, yes. Okay, and I'll show you this in a second. But also, it's in the Dell BIOS, and a lot of computers have these. It has an AC recovery mode, so it will tell you if the system loses power without being shut down, it will go to boot. And, well, you have options. You can tell it to, when power is restored, boot, no matter what. You can tell it to, hey, when power is restored, turn on, or stay in its last mode. So if it was shut down, but it lost power, but then power is restored, this should clip back, yeah. Then power is restored, it would stay off if it was off, it would turn on if it was on, or do nothing, which means if it was on and then power went away, it would just stay off for your intervention. Now, you do want to get this on, because even though we got this shroud, there is air leakage. And a lot of times the people don't realize that the sides and the cases of the computer help with the cooling. This should come in there. Perfect. Little cable management. So we have an error on the screen, which is pretty normal. Alert. The AC adapter was missing. Alert. The time of day is wrong because the BIOS battery is out. Alert. There is no keyboard, which is also accurate. And there's also no mouse. But yeah, nah, we fixed it. Excellent. That's a nice quick little video. Take it easy, guys. That's a good tip, though, if you're getting nothing, dead. And we could have shorted the power pins, which would have probably booted it, and then we would have gotten error light. But just check that first. It takes 10 seconds. Take care.